Hey, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that we well. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel. Shalom. Back at it with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, this video was edifying. Okay? And this is the topic we're going to be getting into. Was Adam and Eve the only two in the garden? All right? And the answer is no. Okay? No, Adam and Eve were not the only two in the garden. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and start off with this scripture right here. All right, because the Lord created nations. He created nations of people. All right, and you had three classifications of nations back in the time of the Adamites. You had sons of God, which were the prototype of the Israelites, if you will. The sons of the wicked, which were the prototypes of the Edomites. And then you had the sons of men, which were the heathen nations. Okay, and all these nations were really created for Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai's purpose, of course. But Israel was created to be that nation on top of the other nations. Let's get this scripture to back it up. This is Deuteronomy 32 and verse 8. When the Most High divided the nations to their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, because you know how people say, oh, we all come from Adam. That's true, but there's separation between the sons of Adam, and we just went through those classifications. It says, when the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Verse 9, for the Lord Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So the Lord's people is Israel, man. Okay, out of all those sons of Adam, the Lord's portion out of all those sons of Adam is Israel, man. Okay, now I wasn't really trying to take this spin on it, but the Spirit does what it does. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6, starting at verse 54. It says, and after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Okay. It says, of him come we all. Right. So we all come from Adam, right? It says, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. Okay. All right. Reading on. So that means that there's a people that comes out of Adam whom the Lord has chosen. It says, all this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake. So the nation of Israel, the world was built for the nation of Israel's sake, man. All right. And these heathen nations were meant to serve the nation of Israel, man. Okay. They also played their role, if you will, you know, in the grand scheme of things, of course. However, the end all be all is for the nation of Israel to be on top. All right. Verse 56. And as for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. All right. And that where was that quoted? All right. The scripture is quoting about how the people are nothing unto the Lord. That's in Isaiah, the 40th chapter, the 15th verse on down to the 17th verse. Also in Daniel, the 4th chapter, the 35th verse, it says that the people are nothing, man. Okay. Verse 57. Yeah, that's the point. I'm going to go ahead and leave off on that. Now I want to go back and touch on this. So was Adam and Eve the only two in the garden? No. The answer is no. Okay. And we can actually read about that in the Genesis, the very first chapter. However, matter of fact, we'll read. I got a list, so I'm going to try to hit the points of the list, right? So let's go ahead and get this real quick. This is Genesis chapter 2 and verse 21. Let's actually start at verse 20. Genesis 2 and 20. And Adam gave names to all cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an helpmeet for him. And the Lord Yahweh power caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept and took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord Yahweh power had taken from man, made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Now, what is this really talking about? This is metaphorical to how the Lord took a woman out of Adam's kinsman. Okay. That's what this is going into, is metaphorical. Okay. Like you have Jake now today that say, what's up? You know, this is my blood, my own flesh and blood, you know? Usually Jake says that when, someone in their family crosses them, Jake will say, this is my own flesh and blood doing this to me. All right. Now, is that literally his own flesh and blood? Did they literally come out of his blood? Were they literally made from his flesh? No, but they're of his kinsmen. Okay. So that's really what that means, All right, that's metaphorical of the Lord giving Adam a woman from his own kinsman, his own bloodline. All right. Now let's shed some light on that real quick. Go to this real quick. This is 2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 1. Second Samuel chapter 5 and verse 1. And it reads, Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Okay? So it said the tribes of Israel came unto David. All right? Now, spiritually, if you can receive it, the tribes of Israel did come out of David. All right? However, okay, because King David is Jacob in the reincarnation. However, at this time, the tribes of Israel was already established, man. And David happened to come out of the tribe of Judah. Okay, so did all the tribes at this very time come out of David? No, because they were already established. Okay, so what does that mean? That they were of his kinsmen. Okay, they were of his brethren, his kinsmen. Okay, now let's get another scripture. So it said it right there. That what do they say? We are thy brethren. Where say we are thy flesh and thy bone. All right. Let's get another one. Let's go to the book of Genesis. Genesis 29. Go to the book of Genesis 29 and verse 14. Genesis chapter 29 and I'll start at verse 11. No, I actually start at verse 12. Genesis 29 and 12. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house and told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. So Laban said it right there that Jacob, all right, is his bone and his flesh. What did he mean by that? That means that Jacob came out of the same kinsman, man. All right, which was what? The line of Assyrians. Okay. That's why in Deuteronomy 23 and 7, which is a mistranslation, it says what? Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. But really, it was a mistranslation. Okay. The word there is supposed to be arum, which goes back to an Assyrian. All right. Now let's just prove that real quick. Go to Genesis 25 and 20. Because Rachel was Isaac's wife, okay? And his wife was from his own own lineage, okay? Now I'm going all throughout the spirit, so pardon me if I may seem to come short of certain things. But let's go ahead and get this. All right, this is Genesis 25 and 20. It says, And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian, right? So that's the lineage that Jacob came out of, man. All right. And that's why Isaac said unto Jacob, don't marry unto a Canaanite woman, because they were trying to stay within that seed line. Let's get another one real quick. Proving that Jacob was our forefather Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, was actually from the Syrian bloodline. All right. This is Genesis 28 and verse 5. All right. Genesis 28 and 5. It says, And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went into Padan Aram unto Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. All right. So the point is, he was in Syrian, man. Let's get some more scriptures to back that up real quick. So they all came from the same lineage and bloodline. All right. And that's what it meant when it says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. That was actually a mistranslation. Okay. Deuteronomy 26 and verse 5. And thou shalt speak and say, before the Lord Yahweh thy power, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few and became there a populace. Slakia. I'll read it again. Deuteronomy 28 and 26 and 5. It says, and thou shalt speak and say, before the Lord Yahweh thy power, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few and became there a nation great, mighty, and populous. So who is this talking about? Let's keep on reading to get the context. Verse 6, and the Egyptians evil entreated us and afflicted us and laid upon us hard bondage. Whew. Who is this talking? It's talking about the children of Israel, man. Okay, this is going into the children of Israel. The children of Israel went into Egypt under hard bondage, man. All right. Let's go and get another one real quick. And go to the book of Tobit. Let's go to the book of Tobit, chapter 4, because I remember I said that Isaac, Isaac and Rachel, Isaac and Rebecca were of the same bloodline. Well, let's prove that. Okay. This is Tobit, chapter 4, and verse 12. It says, beware of all whoredom, my son. Chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife. Now, it's Tobit. Now, this is instruction that Tobit was given unto his son. Okay. So it was for his son. It was something that he had to do. All right. If he didn't, he would be going off because Tobit, his father, told him to do it. However, it's not going off to take a heathen woman to wife. All right. Moses, he married an Ethiopian woman. All right. That's from the line of Ham. Okay. That's not from the line of Shem. Okay. So was Moses going off? No, it's not going off to marry a woman of another nation. Okay. King David's grandmother, Ruth, she was a Moabite, you know. Now, that does come from the line of Shem. However, she was still a heathen. Okay. The point is, the reason why it was exhorted to our people not to marry after the heathen women is because Jake gets simple for these women, man. All right, Jake gets simple for Israelite women, much less gets simple over a woman of another nation. So if she lays it on him, Jake could get simple, man. All right, and then he'll want to go and serve their gods, man. Okay, kind of like with King Solomon. King Solomon wasn't going off from marrying women of the heathen nations. He went off by spiritually marrying their gods, if you can receive it. Okay. Now I'm going to read on to prove what I said about Isaac. This is Tobit 4 and 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. Okay, so it said it right there. It mentioned Isaac, man. So guess what? Isaac was of the same bloodline as Rebekah. Verse 13, now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, and not taking a wife of them. For in pride is destruction, and in much trouble, and in lewdness is decay, and great want. For lewdness is the mother of famine. All right, that's the point. Okay, that is the point. Now, I want to get something real quick. Salakia. Salakia. Pardon with me. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. Now we can move on. So there you go. Proves that Isaac and Rebekah came from the same lineage. Now, let's go ahead and get some more scriptures proving about the flesh and the bone. Let's go to the book of 2 Samuel We went to 2 Samuel 5 already, but let's get a different scripture real quick. We'll go to the book of 2 Samuel, the 19th chapter, and the 12th verse. Second Samuel chapter 19 and verse 12. Actually, I'll start at verse 11. And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back to his house, seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house? Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye last to bring back the king? Okay. And say ye to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? The Most High do so to me, and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. All right, the point is what? Ye are my brethren, ye are my bone, ye are my flesh. That's the point. All right, so that's really metaphorical. Okay, that's metaphorical. That's really what it's all going into at the end of the day. It's not the children of Israel known as the valley of the dry bones. Okay. In Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. So Israel is likened unto bones, man. All right. Now, this one right here is the nail in the coffin, in my personal humble opinion, if whatever that means. You know, this is Ephesians, the 5th chapter. Let's go straight to the point. Ephesians chapter 5, starting at verse 29. For no man, I'll start at verse 28. Salakia. Ephesians 5. Actually, no. I'll start at verse 21. No. Salakia. I'll start at verse 25. Just to keep it brief. Ephesians 5 and 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Mashiach also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. That's the true baptism, the word. All right, John 15 and 3 also lines up with that precept right there. Verse 27, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish, right? So you know, brothers, you're dealing with Eve, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's your Eve, you know, you holding it down. Hey, you gotta love your wife. Anyways, moving forward. Verse 28, because scriptures also talk about how, you know, your prayers will be hindered if you don't deal with your woman correctly, pretty much, that your prayers be not hindered. Matter of fact, since I mentioned it, let me just get it. So, you know, you got a rib, you got a, no pun intended, you know, you got a rib, man, you gotta hold it down, you know, to the best of your ability, you know what I'm saying? This is 1 Peter 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. All right. Moving forward, here's the point. Verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. Did you see that? I'll read it again. Ephesians 5 and 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. The woman was taken out of the rib of Adam, right? As his own body. It says, he that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. Woo! Woo! Are we not children of Israel? Are we not members of Yahweh Bashim, or Yahweh Shai's body? You know, Yahweh Shai's flesh? Yeah, we are his brethren, man. We are his kinsmen. And we are his wife spiritually. Okay, verse 31. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Mashiach and the church, right? So that's a mystery. And we're going into that mystery right now. But Apostle Paul at that time was speaking about Yahweh Shai and the church. But it still applies to the mystery because he just said it. This is a great mystery. And at that time, you know, only, you know what I'm saying, they had understanding of the scriptures, but there were still mysteries even at those times, man. So there you go. You know, volume of the book, man. Okay. So I'll go back to Genesis 2 to make it all come back full circle. Genesis 2 and verse 21, and the Lord Yahweh power caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept and took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in the stead thereof. And the rib which the Lord Yahweh power had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Verse 24, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. That's the point. All right, so that's metaphorical, man. That was metaphorical. All right, and we just broke down what the metaphor meant. Now, let's prove that Adam and Eve were not the only people in the garden. All right, let's prove that. This is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. And the power said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So the powers created man in his own image. In the image of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai created he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them. And the power said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So the men and women that were created by the power said what? Be fruitful and multiply, man. So there you go. So Adam and Eve, there was a bunch of people back in this time, man, in the time of Genesis. You have to think about it. Genesis 1 alone, there was about 7,000, I'll say 6,000 to be safe. 6,000 years just within Genesis 1 alone, man. It was a time span of 6,000 years just within Genesis chapter 1. So you got to imagine how much it was to Genesis chapter 2 and Genesis chapter 3 and all that combined, all the way to Genesis 6, man, to the time where Noah came. The earth was well populated, man. All right. Now let's go to skip down to Genesis 5. Okay. Genesis 5 and verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that the powers created man, in the likeness of the powers made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. So male and female were known as Adam. Why? Because you had something called the Adamites, man. All right. And now you can read about how in Genesis, the 5th chapter, how you had the sons of God, man. Okay, because it says Adam lived 130 years, and he begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth, all right, which is Shath. All right, Shath really means recompense, you know, or basically that's basically what it means. It's along those lines, recompense, man. Okay, because before Seth was who in the reincarnation, you had Abel. Seth is Abel in the reincarnation. All right, if you can receive it. It says, so yeah, Adam begat sons and daughters, man. Okay, Seth begat sons and daughters. You know, that's the point. Okay, that's the point. You know, so that means that the earth was multiplied. You got a lot of people, man. All right, now let's prove that also before, you know, Seth and stuff like that, you had Cain. Okay, Cain married a wife. So if Adam and Eve, and let's just say Adam and Eve, Seth and Cain were the only 4 people that were, you know, in population, so to speak, how did Cain go and find a wife, man? All right. This is Genesis chapter 4, verse 16, going straight to the point. Verse 16, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. All right. So Cain knew a wife. What does that mean? There was a woman there. All right. For Cain to bear. Okay. So what does that mean? There was other nations there at that time, man. All right. But you have to kind of extrapolate. It's not really an extrapolate. The Lord has to really give you understanding. Like the Apostle Paul said, this is a mystery. However, you know, you can extrapolate that, you know what I'm saying? basically there was more people there than just Adam and Eve, Seth and Cain, if you will. All right. So, that's really the point. Okay, that's the understanding of it. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash. Salakia, double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, every well, peace and blessing to the elect of Israel. Shalom and Abba Baba. Lord will, this video was edifying, enduring to the end. Hakim, Lord will. Shalom to the elect.